What if I told you a company that loses billions of dollars every year is about to become one of the most valuable companies on Earth? Sounds crazy, right? Well, welcome to the SpaceX IPO.
SpaceX is planning the biggest stock market listing in history.
$1.75 trillion.
IPO roadshow is underway.
After years of speculation, Elon Musk's space company is finally heading to the public markets. And it's not arriving quietly. SpaceX is aiming to raise around $75 billion from investors. And if it pulls that off, it won't just become the biggest IPO ever. It'll absolutely destroy the previous record. We're talking about a company valued at roughly $1.75 trillion. A company that launches rockets, beams internet from space, builds AI infrastructure, and somehow still feels like it's operating in the future. But here's the question everyone's asking. Is SpaceX actually worth that kind of money? So in this video, we're going to break this down. We're going to take a look at record-breaking numbers, the business behind the rockets, the financials worth understanding, and the risks worth knowing. This is education, not financial advice. So let's get into it. Now, numbers like that are so big, they almost stop meaning anything. So here's some context. The current record holder for the world's largest IPO is Saudi Aramco, which raised about $29 billion. SpaceX is aiming for more than double that. That's not just breaking a record, that's literally launching it into orbit, pun intended. And the company plans to list on Nasdaq under the ticker SPCX, with shares expected to price around $135 each. So at that price, SpaceX would be valued at roughly $1.75 trillion. That's larger than the entire economy of Australia. And it would instantly place SpaceX among the largest publicly traded companies on the planet. It's not bad for a company that started with people laughing at the idea of reusable rockets. So most people hear SpaceX and they think rockets, big explosions, Elon Musk tweeting some memes. But investors are actually looking at something a lot bigger. Think of SpaceX as three companies pretending to be one. First, there's the rocket business. This is the Falcon 9 operation everybody knows about. Launching satellites, servicing governments, sending astronauts into space, and doing something that once sounded impossible, launching rockets and using them again. So then there's Starlink. Starlink has more than 7,500 satellites orbiting Earth and provides internet access around the entire world. In some places, it's the only high-speed internet available. Analysts estimate that Starlink generated somewhere between $12 to $15 billion in revenue last year. But that's some serious money. And then there's the newest piece of the puzzle, AI. So after the integration of xAI, SpaceX is investing heavily in AI infrastructure and computing power. Because apparently building rockets and launching thousands of satellites wasn't ambitious enough. So when analysts look at SpaceX, they aren't just seeing aerospace. They're seeing space, telecoms, AI, infrastructure, data, and technologies just all bundled together, which helps explain why some people think it's worth the $1.75 trillion price tag, and why others think it's completely insane. Now let's talk about the numbers hiding behind all this hype. So in 2025, SpaceX reported an operating loss of roughly $4.9 billion. Now, that's not entirely crazy for a company that's investing so aggressively in growth. For example, Amazon spent years prioritizing expansion over profits. Tesla did the same thing. The key question investors are asking is whether today's losses are laying the foundation for tomorrow's returns. And that's never a certainty, but it's central to how this IPO is being evaluated. Because while revenue grew at 33% in 2025 to $18 billion, growth slowed to about 15% in the first quarter of 2026. At the same time, losses widened. You ask why? Because SpaceX is just spending crazy amounts of money on Starship development and AI infrastructure, satellite expansion, and just insane projects that may not pay off for so many years ahead. The company is spending like the future depends on it, because management believes it does. Here's something else worth understanding. So before this IPO, SpaceX shares were already trading privately. In late 2025, private transactions valued shares at roughly $421 each. But after a 5-for-1 stock split, that's equivalent to around $84 per share. which means public investors would be paying significantly more than recent private investors paid. First, expectations are sky high. At a $1.75 trillion valuation, the price reflects what investors hope SpaceX becomes, not what it is today. High expectations leave little room for disappointment. Second, I don't know, but rocket science is pretty hard. Literally. Developing reusable rockets, building next-generation spacecrafts, launching satellites, and scaling AI infrastructure is an enormously complex undertaking. Third, there's the Elon Musk factor. So Elon remains central to the SpaceX story while also running multiple other companies. And finally, there's the lockup period. So roughly 6 months after the IPO, insiders and early investors may be permitted to start selling shares. And historically, that's a moment markets tend to watch very closely. So it's easy to say SpaceX is one of the most ambitious companies ever created. It's changing how we think about space and communications and technology. But it's also asking investors to place quite an enormous bet on the future. A future that comes with such big opportunities and big risks. And that's what makes this IPO so fascinating to watch. Not just because it's big, but because it forces a simple question. How much is the future worth? If you want to track the SPCX when trading opens on June 12th, you can do that directly on the Equiti app. It's available now. Download the link in the description. Get your account set up and you'll be ready when the market opens. And as always, please always do your research, understand the risks involved, and make sure any financial decision is right for your personal situation. Let us know in the comments what you think about this IPO. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Equiti for more market insights and educational content. Thanks for watching.